Hey everyone, Ron Spomer here. I've got a special guest. I just met this gentleman recently. I don't know his whole story, but by golly, I've heard enough bits and pieces that I'm fascinated, and I would like you to meet him as well. His name is Erik. I don't even know your last name, Erik.
Erik Salitan, Ron.
Nice to meet you, Erik.
Good to meet you.
Alaska as a young man, and how old were you? 17?
18.
18 years old. Pretty much unprepared?
Didn't have any money.
Didn't have any money. So what was the idea? Where did you grow up, and why did you want to come to Alaska?
Well, I grew up in upstate New York, right on the Canadian border, and the main attraction for me to Alaska was I heard that there was unbelievable hunting and fishing and very few rules. That was a very desirable quality as a teenage kid.
Yes, okay. So then how did you get up here? You had no job? Did you have any prospects?
Well, I always had a job. I had several jobs. I think when I left for Alaska, the day that I graduated school, I believe I had $2,000 that I had saved. And some of my friends, they questioned my ability to make the trip to Alaska. I had told them I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
And I went for it. I had an early 90s Toyota single cab 4-cylinder pickup with just a little R22 that just kind of putts along, and I drove it. I believe it was something like 4,400 miles.
Yeah.
And it was an eye-opening experience for me.
So when you got to Alaska, did you know anyone up here?
I knew one person when I came. And I hadn't spoken to him for a number of years, and I called that person, and they were able to find me work immediately. I arrived on a Sunday, and I was working for a power company as an aerial tree topper on Monday morning. So the kind of unique thing about that was that I was doing the same job I had been doing in high school, where I was doing aerial tree topping down in the States, but it paid exactly double in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
The other big advantage that I liked at that age was that in the States, we would get 5/8. In Alaska, they gave us 6/10 hours. And I was into working and into saving money, and it was pretty neat. And I was so excited when I first came that I remember when I would get off on Saturday afternoon, I would go on these wild adventures, and I wouldn't sleep. I would stay up Saturday night, keep right going through Sunday, and just kind of roll back to work by Monday morning. And in hindsight, I'm 41 years old now. I'd be really tired.
Oh, no kidding. But so you had to work, and then you could sleep for a few hours and work some more. But when it came time off, there was no time off. You were outdoor adventuring the whole time.
You know, Alaska in the summertime, with the light spectrum and the number of daylight hours a day, I quickly bought a non-resident black bear tag that first year. And to me at the time, that sounded like a very noble undertaking. I laugh at myself a little bit now about it, but I walked mountains and mountains and mountains and looked at all kinds of bears, and I thought I was on a serious safari.
Well, it was for a young man up in the wilds of Alaska. Come on.
It was an adventure that was unprecedented. Just everything was new. All the experiences, all the vistas, the characters that I met traveling around. It was pretty powerful stuff. Yeah. Even to this day, I get excited. I have a good friend who is from Alaska, and he told me a lot of stories about growing up. His father was an outfitter, and he tells me these different stories about, Dad would take, us to do this. And I said, man, I'm jealous of you. That would have been so neat to grow up. And he told me it was one of the coolest things I ever heard, and it took me a long time to understand it. He said, no, I'm jealous of you. And I said, why is that? And he said, because you and my dad got to come to Alaska. To me, this is all I've ever known. It's no big deal at all. But I can't imagine the excitement that you guys had when you came. And after a while, I knew what he meant by that.
Yeah, interesting perspective, but I can believe it. So you got into it big time. You never went back, really? You stayed up here all this time?
No, I never went back. I wouldn't go back. I've always said if I left Alaska, I'd leave the United States. So I don't wish. I hunt every year with friends and clients, and different great folks that we meet up with, go down to lower 48 and hunt different places. And there's some great hunting and there's some great country, but once you've been up here for a certain period of time, and I just speak for myself, it's all too small down there. So yeah, there's some great wildernesses down there. There's some big tracts of land, but there's a certain freedom that's auxiliary to sort of hunting here in Alaska that I would never be able to give that up.
What is that?
I don't know that you can articulate exactly what that is, Ron, but it's, if you and I want to go for a walk right now, we can walk for literally hundreds of miles in any direction and not hit a highway.
Yeah.
You tell me where you can do that, and you live in Idaho, I believe.
Yeah.
You can't do that in Idaho.
No. Well, maybe if you measure the up and downs as part of the mileage, you could get there.
Well.
But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I mean, just north of here, my gosh, I can't think of a road anywhere. I mean, you'd go to McGrath, there's no roads, you fly into McGrath,
yeah.
Keep going, you go across the Yukon, you get up over the Brooks Range, and you're outside of Prudhoe Bay somewhere, no highways going through there, not even a gravel road.
The closest place to walk to a road is to walk to Anchorage. That's like 300 miles.
Yeah, and there's a lot of water in between here and there.
Yeah.
So if you're up here, you're doing a job, it's topping trees. That's not exactly why you came to Alaska. You surely have gotten into more hunting, trapping. I know you said you did some trapping. What happened after this?
Well, I was fortunate, and I ended up getting a black bear. So I filled that tag, and then I moved on from that job, and I was looking for more adventure, and then I got caught trespassing. And, you know, that's a serious deal.
Trespassing in Alaska?
That's right. It's hard to do here, but I found a way to get caught doing that.
How did that happen?
Well, I wanted to explore a certain glacial area, and I crossed some private property to try to get to where I was going, and well, the proprietor, he caught me. And fortunately, instead of killing me and burying me in a hole somewhere, he fed me and he hired me on as a packer in his hunting operation.
But he could have prosecuted you for that?
Oh, certainly, but that would have been the least of it. I mean, he probably could have just got pretty serious about it. Caught a young kid walking through there with a pack frame, hip waders, and a 300 Win Mag.
Nobody'd known if you disappeared, huh?
Probably not, but I don't want to be too sensational. But I don't know how maybe he was just in a good mood or something that day, but he hired me on.
Took you on, huh?
Yeah, he did.
So now you're going to be a hunting guide, or at least a packer.
I thought that sounded all right. So yeah. I kind of hung out for a little while, and then that was where I learned humility. I learned what a big sissy I really was.
Really?
Yeah. I worked there for a full year, and I got hazed pretty good as a packer, and I just learned that there's actual tough people out there. You know, I don't know if you've met them.
Oh,
Maybe you are one, but
no, I aren't one, but I've sure met them.
I've met some guys that are a heck of a lot tougher than me, and I got to help carry some sheep meat around and walk behind them, and boy, that was a humbling experience for me and a learning experience, and learned a lot there, and moved along and worked for some other outfitters, and then ultimately I got registered and became an outfitter myself and ran several different guiding operations around the state.
Oh, you did? What, did you cover quite a bit of the state?
Initially, I was operating both on the Alaska Peninsula here in Iliamna, Alaska, and then also in the Brooks Range where I lived at the time.
Way up north.
Way up north, yeah.
Yeah, quite different environments there. So you were an outfitter. Did you become you were a registered guide?
Yes, sir.
That means you get to take people out on your own.
Yes,
you're not the packer anymore or the assistant guide.
Yes, sir.
But you're not a master guide. What's the difference there?
Well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
What do you mean?
Master guide, all that means is you get to say that you're a master guide.
Sorry, guys. Didn't want to hurt your feelings. I thought there was something extra special.
Well, traditionally, the master guide designation in Alaska was something that was reserved for older guys with some gray in their beard, and Alaska has a great fraternity of some really neat older guys that have seen a lot of stuff and deserve that designation. But today, there's people that have the master guide license who are younger than I am. It's been perverted. It's been perverted in some ways.
They haven't had enough experience. They haven't been here long enough, or what?
It just, there isn't. There's people just following the statutes to when you become eligible for a master guide, rather than the way it was done traditionally, where no one would become a master guide until their 50s or 60s. And now there's people in their 40s that have master guides licenses.
So they actually fit the criteria. But
I think that's disrespectful to the older people. So just because of that, I'll never apply for one.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So how many years did you run your outfitting business?
20 on the nose.
20 years.
And then I sold it in the 20th year.
And you're only 41 now.
I am.
So you started a
22.
business.
22 is when I got my license.
Wow. Good long career. Did you enjoy the heck out of it, or was it a pain in the butt, or?
It was great. I really enjoyed it, and you know, I'm still in it. I'm in a bit of a transitional period here, but you know, I sold my operation to a decade-plus employee of mine, Tim Winslow, who, of course, partnered with Kip Folks, and they bought out both of my lodges and my hunting area and everything that comes with it. But
They're with Bushwhack?
They own Bushwhack Adventures.
Was that what it was called when you had it?
When I had it, I called it Bushwhack Alaska Guiding and Outfitting.
Okay, that's why I get the name confused. I'm calling it Bushwhack Adventures, Bushwhack
That's the
Alaska.
correct name.
That's the correct name.
Bushwhack Adventures is what it is now.
And you sold that to him, so now you're in a transition period.
I am.
And what is that like? What are you thinking of doing now?
Oh, you know, I guess you'll have to wait for the sequel. But yeah, it's you know, life's an interesting ride. I mean, guiding was the primary facet of my life for the last 20 years, but I had my hands and my interests in other things as well. And I'll still guide. I'm guiding for Tim and Kip now. I enjoy that. By the way, you know, if you don't own the business and you guide the other people's hunters, did you know that the clients give you tips?
They give you tips?
Yeah, like huge tips. It's awesome.
But as the outfitter owner, you don't get one?
No, they just like grumble to you about something.
No wonder you sold it.
Yeah. So like I took some hunters for Tim and Kip last year, and like, you know, I'd say, okay, well, enjoyed it. And then they give you a bunch of tip money, and man,
Go for it.
I was feeling pretty big time with that.
Yes,
that was kind of a big deal.
Now, I noticed you were showing me some furs that you had trapped. Sounds like you had a pretty long career as a trapper.
Oh, I enjoy trapping, and I trap every year. I have 3 sons, and all but the infant one has spent a lot of time on the trap line. My eldest son was just locally recognized for his trapping prowess as a young person, and as a real kind of man about the mountains for his age in this area. But yeah, we run fairly extensive trap lines every winter.
Now, is there money in it? You used to be money in it. I know you could make pretty good money at certain times of when the prices were really high, but I think right now they're pretty darn low, aren't they?
So the primary reason I trap is for my mental and physical health.
Yeah.
That's reason number 1 and number 2. And then behind that, you know, I always like to trap wolves in my hunting areas as a form of predator control. And then additionally, it's a hobby that paid for itself. So because I was an outfitter, because I ran lodges, I was always able to sell my furs to fishermen, to different people that pass through the lodge, and be able to make a little bit of money. But fiscal gain is not the primary motivator. The primary motivator is just getting out in the country. I immensely enjoy the challenge, especially trapping wolves. And that's what's cooler than that. You get out there, you see all kinds of sign, you see game that you otherwise would have no business being in that country. Many sportsmen, they spend a relatively small portion of the year in the bush.
Right.
And the fact that my family and we make our home here year round, we're able to get out there in every month of the year, and winter's a great time. People talk about it being all cold and everything.
Right.
It's really nice here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can understand that, because as a young man, I was a trapper. Of course, it was back in the 70s, and there was good money in it at the time. Fur prices were high, and I paid for half of my college education with the money I was making. But I understand when you're talking about your spiritual health and stuff, just there's something magical about a trap line, and it's different from hunting. You're still looking for the target animal, and you're utilizing a wonderful resource, but you discover so much more because you're reading the intimate little signs, the tracks and the trails and the burrows, and you understand things that your average sportsman really never pays any attention to.
That's couldn't be more correct what you just said. When you're zoned in trapping and you're maintaining a trail in the snow, at a certain point, if so much as a mouse or a shrew would cross that trail, you would notice that that's a fresh track that's crossed your trail. You become really closely connected with what's going on in that valley, in that particular swamp, on that particular mountainside, and I think that there's a lot of knowledge that you learn if you have your eyes open, that can make you be a better hunter, that can make you just be more in tune to your natural surroundings.
Yeah. Now, how did you run your trap line? Back when I was doing it, it was in farm country. It was pretty settled, but we had coyotes and red fox and coons and mink and muskrats and beaver and badgers and things, but we didn't have lynx and wolverine and wolves and all the things you have up here. And we had the road access. You're not having that up here. How did you get around on your trap lines? And was it mostly a snow season thing?
So when I was a younger man and I lived in the Brooks Range, initially I had no money, like literally no money. Like no money.
No money.
So I had sled dogs.
Sled dogs?
Because you can feed sled dogs anything.
Okay.
And then once I started doing some assistant guiding and I had a little bit of money, then we got a skidoo. We got a Tundra snow machine, and we thought that was pretty big time. And of course that evolved with the more and more modern snow machines that exist today. But after I married my wife, Martha, and moved down to the Alaska Peninsula here, I had to relearn how to trap. It's a completely different environment. The temperatures are much warmer down here. There's a maritime influence. There is not consistent snow. And all of a sudden I found myself in almost every trapping season, I will use a snow machine, yes, but also a four-wheeler.
Really?
And also a boat.
A boat.
And that's the conditions change here so rapidly that it may even be within the same week that you use multiple apparatus in that way.
That's got to kind of mess up your sets. I know the little bit of weather change I got back then, if you went to a melting condition after snow, then you're freezing at night and your traps are freezing shut, and it just messes stuff up.
Another statement that shows you're the real deal, Ron. That's absolutely correct. So in the Brooks Range, it was locally considered somewhat slobbish to use conibears or to use snares. It was a purist trapping culture, all leg holds. And of course, because that's where I was learning, that's what I did. But I quickly learned down here that snares and conibears are very effective.
Easier to keep functional, aren't
Yes,
they?
yes, they are.
Eric, I've got to ask you, with all of your hunting and trapping and stuff in Alaska, most of us are assuming you got in trouble at some point. You know, did you get trapped, lost? Did you have some animal encounters of the hairy kind, or some of your clients maybe had a heart attack? I mean, there's some bad stuff that must have happened. It's a harsh land, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bad things that can happen, but if you're thoughtful, you can avoid a lot of the dangers. I mean, kind of like we spoke about earlier there over dinner, people, when they think about the dangers of Alaska, they really focus on bears and the sensational deaths or things like that. But
right.
There's a lot of irrational fear of the bears. The thing that's really, really dangerous in Alaska is water. water is an incredibly dangerous thing here. It takes the lives of many, many people. Right here at Lake Iliamna, there's unfortunately quite a few people that pass here from the water. And then the other thing that gets people in Alaska is the elements. So the cold weather, hypothermia, that's something that is very aggressive. I've been pretty fortunate. I haven't had. I've had a few scrapes probably here or there, but there are times, you know, if you're out trapping and you're by yourself, you're further than you can walk home, which you often are on the snowmobile, and you get like stuck, and then you kind of look at the snowmobile for a while, and you're like, how do we do this? And then you mess with it, and you shovel it, and then you rev it a lot, and then you hurt your back. And then you sit there, and then maybe you drink some water. And then at some point, you're like, I'm in really big trouble. I got to get out of here. And that's,
try not to panic.
And that's usually the spot when you start making sense, and usually it's laziness where you just want to power right out, and then you get your snowshoes on and you stomp out a trail and you properly shovel your track out, and then you unload the sled and
all the stuff you didn't want to do.
All the stuff you were too lazy to do.
Yeah.
And then you go ahead and you go around and you make a couple passes and you continue about your merry way. But
did you ever have to bivouac, stay out under some brutal conditions?
Sure.
Things you hadn't been planning on doing, but you're prepared for that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't go anywhere in Alaska without your rain gear. You don't go anywhere in Alaska without a knife and a cigarette lighter. I don't get into an airplane without a sleeping bag, even if it's somebody that says, hey, let's just go for a flight around the patch. I always have a sleeping bag in an airplane or a boat.
Do you have it generally on a pack that you keep with you all the time? Or?
It's situational. I like dry bags. Dry bags are great. I keep a lot of gear in dry bags. That's pretty cool.
All right. Now, have any of your clients given you any trouble or gotten in themselves into trouble that really stand out?
You know, there's been clients that got some pretty serious sprayings, and I mean, years ago I was on a hunt where a guy had a cardiac event, but not really.
Not really, huh?
Not really.
Well, it sounds to me like
falling down, that kind of, like, people hurt themselves pretty bad.
Right.
But as far as like a serious injury, and that's also a big responsibility. And when my wife and I, when we sold our business here this past year to Tim, and we kind of sat down and really thought about what that meant, that was one of the first things that she and I, we said, we didn't hurt anybody. And that's not a given. There's a lot of fatalities in the guiding industry, and I feel very blessed to probably have been lucky a lot of times, and also to do my best to head off trouble before it came.
Well, that's where I was going, because you've got to be prepared. You have to think ahead, and like you say, always have your sleeping bag, have your rain gear. You know what to expect under the worst conditions. Do you have the tools necessary to survive and keep your clients alive and safe, and et cetera? So I'm thinking what I'm hearing from you and assessing is that you are a cautious guide. You're not going to take risks, and either with your life or your clients' lives, which to me is the quintessential master guide.
Yeah, I'm not doing that, but you mean registered guide?
Whatever it is, and you know, reason that I said master guide, I don't care if you call it a registered guide or a master guide, but if you are taking care of clients that well for 22 years and you never have a serious injury, you never lost anyone or even damaged yourself, broken legs and all the rest of it, it just suggests that you're a master at living in the Alaskan conditions under which you're operating.
I appreciate your flattery, but I just, to be honest with you, you don't have to be that smart to do this, but you do have to keep your eyes on a swivel. If you're flippant about running a boat and you're not constantly scanning for rocks and logs, and you're going to kill somebody eventually if you're a jerk, which you can't cuss on this podcast if I'd say what I really am.
Okay.
If you're a hard ass, or if you're strict with people is the word I'm looking, and you tell them, you're going to sit in the boat, you're going to face forward, and I don't care who or what, or you just, when it comes to certain safety elements, if you're not right on it and you don't really try to control it and also control your employees to maintain that, safety is, it's not a joke.
Right.
And there's a lot of folks, unfortunately, that have learned that the hard way, but it's not any great skill. It's just being really steadfast and vigilant.
Yeah.
That's all it really is.
So you've been up here. You've been up here now for more than 2 decades.
Yep.
Easily. And someone told me that you were on a TV show or something. What was it? 10 Below Zero? No, Life Below Zero. Does that sound right?
That's correct.
You were involved with that?
I was. My wife and I were some of the founding cast of that, and that was.
Oh, you were in the show as Alaskans, and it was kind of a real life adventures, and you guys were part of it.
Correct.
Ah, cool.
Correct.
How did that work out?
It was my least favorite job I've ever had. It was. I mean, I've prostituted myself in a lot of ways, Ron, but this one was particularly low. It started off pretty cool. The pitch of the program was to do like a documentary style reality program about subsistence living, folks that live out on the land, that get their meat from the land, that get their fish from the water, that cut their own wood, that build their own cabins.
Right.
But over time, as the show gained notoriety, it ended up going on for quite a few seasons. And it became a little bit too much, and that's when we bowed out. We did 8 seasons of it.
8 seasons,
and then we were done with that.
Yeah, yeah. That's what it strikes me, that it would kind of compromise this relationship you have with Alaska.
Well, it got to be a little bit too sensational, and you were asking me questions a few minutes ago about like safety in the outdoors as an outfitter and how to keep clients safe and things like that. And the program they were always trying to make it like you were going to die in every bend. Yeah. And just as I answered your other question, which I don't know if it was to your satisfaction, but the key is to have nothing exciting happen ever. Yeah, that's what you want to do, is just never have anything exciting happen. You just kind of go along and pay attention, and
you want to be safe, not excited.
Warm, dry, and not in the water.
So they would have to throw you in the water to make some excitement, huh?
We would do a simple scene in that program, and it would be like, oh, we're going to go draw drinking water from a frozen lake. And they would want to beef up the drama, and they'd make it, so what happens if you fall through the ice? I would say something to them like, you just saw me cut through 4 foot of ice to make this hole. What?
Well, there could be a hot spring in there somewhere.
I don't know.
Did they make you fall through it at any time?
No, I refused. I wouldn't do it. But the good thing about the program was it was a good marketing tool for the outfit. We did book a lot of hunters off of it.
Oh,
and
were you actually hunting on the show?
We weren't guiding on the show, but we would hunt on the show. That was the political correctness line that they had.
I bet. Tough one.
Yeah, we harvested a lot of caribou, mountain goats, deer, wolves, wolverine, lynx, all the trapping things.
They did the trapping thing.
We did. That was my main piece, because
you were the trapper guy.
That was my thing. Yeah.
Well, cool. Now, do you have an airplane? Are you your own pilot?
I am a pilot. Kip and Tim just bought my airplane, but I have never been a professional pilot like some of my colleagues are. I'm more the guy that just flies the airplane to camp, so when somebody else crashes, they can use mine. It's always been kind of my job, or go do an airdrop or something easy. Yeah.
So when you were in the Brooks Range, I assume you were hunting caribou and sheep and grizzlies?
We predominantly were hunting sheep and grizzly bear, and then later, once moose became worth money, because moose, as you know, were not always worth money.
Yeah, I remember those days. I could actually afford to go moose hunting.
Right, yeah. We weren't into taking moose then, but once they became worth money, then we were into taking them. So at the beginning, we just took grizzly bear and sheep in the Brooks Range, and then we did brown bear on the Alaska Peninsula, and that's all I offered. That was how I started. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Sheep is, well, what was your favorite? For me, it was sheep.
I liked all three of those animals to guide for because all of them fit in one load of a backpack that can be put in an airplane with a client. But moose, on the other hand, back to moose. That's not good.
A lot of work there.
A lot of work, a lot of loads. But for personal hunting, sheep is. I'm fanatical.
Are you?
I'm infected. I'm obsessed. I'm addicted. I have a problem. Yeah. It's not good.
Well, I think I've got good news for you.
Okay.
When you get old enough, the problem will go away.
So this past fall, I took my eldest son, Lucas, on his first sheep hunt as he's 15 years old, as a man. He actually was along on a sheep that his mother harvested when he was 3 years old. We had him in a backpack. But it was his first sheep that he remembers.
Yeah.
And I told Lucas, I said, "You're coming to help, and you better help." And it was Lucas and then another friend of mine who's a really, really good guy and a good mentor to Lucas. And anyway, we went out there and we found a ram, and I was kind of talking to my friend, "Are you going to shoot it?" Well, are you going to shoot it? And it was kind of, who's going to shoot? We said, maybe we should let Lucas shoot it. He hasn't whined. He never whined. There's no whining. We don't allow whining. So we had the gun all set up on this ram already, and Lucas was just kind of hiding behind the rocks, waiting to see, sheep be shot. And I just looked at him and I said, "You want to shoot a sheep or what?" And he's like, "Me?" And I was like, "Go ahead." And he laid over to the pack and he made a perfect shot and
cool.
stoned the sheep. It was very emotional for me to have him do that. And you talk about maybe you'll get over the sheep hunting as you get older. I kind of made a pledge right then that I want to be with all three of my sons for their first ram. And one of my sons is only 1 year old.
Oh boy.
So there's quite a few years to go. So yeah, I hope I don't get over it. Yeah. I try to stay in shape.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I try to stay in shape, but boy, you get to working at the office like I do, and it's just harder and harder. So, I don't know. I might do another sheep hunt, but there's not one on the horizon right now.
It's a focus of my life. I enjoy it. My wife runs half marathons. I don't run in any kind of marathons, but I run and I walk, and I do that with the express purpose of sheep hunting and being in good shape for as many years as I can.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about being in shape, because a lot of guys dream of the Alaska hunting adventure, but they don't really get ready for it. Can you emphasize how important it is to be in the kind of shape that's required to cover mountains in, whether you're looking for sheep or a mountain caribou or a grizzly or even a moose? You're going to be needing a lot of not just strength, but endurance.
So there's several different factors at play in your question. There is a certain element of physical fitness that's required for any hunt in Alaska, with the exception of a few, vessel-based hunts and so on and so forth. But really what is the most important thing for a client to bring to Alaska is not physical fitness, it's mental fitness. Mm-hmm. The mental stress for a first-time client, and it doesn't affect all of them, but some of them it affects heavily. Those mental factors supersede the physical conditioning by 100-fold. Yeah. So when you start talking about physical training, like what my wife and I do, that's just because I want to run around like a idiot in the mountains and chase sheep and say, "Oh, there's more over there," and just go.
Yeah, be able to do it.
You can effectively hunt in Alaska with minimal physical health. so long as you have great mental health. And the most of the clients over the years that I saw quit a hunt early or leave, I do not attribute that to physical failure. I attribute that to mental.
You know, that's a good point, and I can certainly understand it. You get in some situations and you start doubting yourself, and you think, oh, we're all going to die and all, and keep your wits about you and be realistic. And it does take a lot out of it. Even something as simple as insects, mosquitoes. On this hunt, I was just on a grizzly hunt, and the mosquitoes were horrible. But I had the right gear, which mostly means a head net, because it's cool enough that you're going to have long sleeves and things on. But you get those bugs going, and it could drive you nuts. But if you've got the right gear, you've got the head net, then it just becomes a matter of tuning out the buzzing, because you know you're not going to lose your life to a bunch of mosquitoes. They're probably not even going to get to you. I probably had 6 to 8 bites the whole time I hunted. But it does take a certain mental, I am going to chill and ignore this as much as I can. And that it might be something else like cold and freaking out that you think it's going to get too cold. But again, being prepared, you've got the right bag, the right wool clothing and things you need, you're going to be fine. Your outfitter's going to have told you what to bring, and if you listen to them and pay attention, it's going to work out. But you've got to be mentally prepared to stick it out.
The mental factor is everything. I mean, the mosquitoes, that's purely mental. They're not going to hurt you. It's just it's a bunch of crying.
They're crying in your ear constantly.
Yeah. I mean, it can be frustration. I've had them hammer me, and it's not super fun. But that's just something that grinds on the mind. And then as you get more physically run down and tired, and it all exacerbates, and then somebody gets in trouble. But the one where I've seen a lot of clients that have like a mental issue out there is in the wind.
Oh, yes.
And they get in the tent, especially here on the Alaska Peninsula. And I mean, sometimes we have blows here that are 50, 60, 70 mile an hour blows. And that tent just whoop, 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 whoop. That scares people.
It does.
And
been there.
When it does for days and days, and then they realize that their connection back to the world, being the Super Cub or whatever it may be, that ain't coming in the wind. And then they realize that they're currently unsupported. That's where people that's where they get frightened.
Well, yeah, you could get freaked out.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to endure that and have the patience and the perseverance to put up with it.
Did you know that I have read all the ingredients on every type of camp goods ever existed?
Do you know that I've read the Alaska Fish and Game Regulations front, backwards, upside down, and sideways?
As have I.
All in the same tent in the same week. Oh, golly.
That's good.
So you're still a young man, 41, you're still up here, you're raising your kids in the outdoors, and that's as much fun as raising yourself in the outdoors. I would imagine even a little more fun. You're going to continue doing that. You're not going to run back to civilization and ruin your life, are you?
No, like I say, I don't think that we could leave Alaska. If we ever left, it would be for an opportunity to go work somewhere else. I would go to another country and experience a new environment, and for a while,
Just for and then diversity and learn something.
Yeah, I enjoy travel. I mean, I've been fortunate to travel a bunch, and I enjoy seeing new country and doing stuff like that. But
this is home for you?
Alaska is home for me. Yeah, no question. I don't think they want me anywhere else. I don't even know if they want me
Wouldn't allow
here.
you anywhere else.
Probably not.
Well, I don't know that if I were in your shoes right now, I'd want to leave either. I almost moved up here as a young man. I came this close, and I got a phone call offering me a job in the Rocky Mountain states, and I went back. Kind of regret it, but I'm not really, because you meet who you meet, you have your life experiences, and you have a wonderful life. But boy, if I were a young person like you were just out of high school, I've heard from so many old sourdoughs up there who did that. They just had this driving desire to go to Alaska, and it paid off for them. They became guides and pilots and all sorts of things and had wonderful adventures. I would say, you tell me what you would advise, but I would advise young people, whether they're boys or girls, young men or young women, if they really love adventure and the outdoors, this is the place to get it. It's kind of the last great place, as they say.
It is, I think, as far as the United States, it's the final vestige of wilderness. I mean, it says on the license plate here in Alaska, last frontier, and there's a reason for that. But sort of a side note to what you're picking at there, what I found, and as I noticed it immediately when I started working in Alaska, but it took me age and maturity to really wrap my mind around what it meant. But Alaska is the quintessential American dream still lives here. Mm-hmm. And to me, what that means is that, you know, somebody with a limited education but has a trade can make a living for their family. They can support, you know, a wife, a few children, have enough money to have a few recreational items like a snow machine or a boat, and have home ownership and not be a business owner. They're a carpenter, they're an electrician, they work for someone else. Mm-hmm. I don't really feel like that opportunity exists in the entirety of the lower 48 anymore. I think it's very hard to get ahead for people down there. And here in Alaska, I mean, you can be just a dummy like me, and as long as you wake up in the morning, you put your boots on and you go to work, and you're gonna do okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're gonna eat this week. I mean, it's looking good.
Even if it's a sheep you shot last winter, you still got some left.
That would be premium. Yeah, we're down pretty low on the sheep meat already, but.
So is it realistic for a young person to think that they could come up here and make a life like you did?
You know, I don't want to. I guess I want to say something like, what does it say on some television? Don't try this at home or something like that. It's, you know, I mean, I've been here like 22, 23 years or something like that. I don't know. And things were different. I've already seen the state change a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't. There still is tremendous opportunity, but I don't know that it'd be like it was when I came. But just the same, when I came, I talked to older outfitters, and they would sit around and drink whiskey and tell me stories about, you know, how crummy the state was now, because when they came in 1960 or 1955, like what it was like, and I would sit there and be like, oh, I came too late. So you kind of just got to make your own world and your own path. So yeah, should young people come up? Young people should go do whatever they want to do. It's their life to do.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think Alaska still does offer more opportunities than most other places. So guys, gals, and even some of you slightly older folks and whatnot, you know, if you've always had this dream of Alaska, give it a try. Even if it just means coming up for a quick fishing trip or something, or a little exploratory trip to get a feel for it. I think it is still a fairly hard land. I mean, Anchorage now is like a megalopolis to me compared to what it was when I first came up here in the early 1980s. Like everywhere else, it's getting more and more people, more and more developed. But boy, when you look at the vast landscape of Alaska, you've still got plenty of empty like you can't imagine in the lower 48. And if that kind of rings your bell, coming up, check it out. Life is short, go for the gusto, I guess. Worked for Erik.
I guess we'll let you know in the end.
Meantime, you're having a pretty good ride.
I am. I just, like you say, I just enjoy now living here and raising my boys and spending time with my family. And went out yesterday with my 5-year-old son. He caught some fish. He thought that was the biggest time in the world. And we come around the corner and there was a bear swimming the river, and we looked at the bear as we went by, and he thought that was,
No kidding.
He's pretty much a bear hunter now after that. So.
There you go, folks. Give Alaska a try. Now, if they want to come up on a fishing or hunting trip, you're not offering those anymore. You might guide them, but you're working for...
Tulare Creek Lodge, Bushwhack Adventures.
Yeah, so check that one out. They're online, Bushwhack Adventures Alaska. And we're in Terralick Lodge right now, and it is a plenty comfortable enough place that any of you would feel quite at home here, and you could step out the door and just take little bits and pieces of Alaska until you get a little more comfortable with it. Or you can just take the big leap, hop on a bush plane, and get dumped off in the middle of nowhere. With a good guide like this, I think you'll survive and enjoy yourself in wild Alaska. Hey, this is Ron Spomer. I want to thank Erik for visiting with us and sharing some of his lifelong realized dreams, and I hope we've inspired some of you to do much of the same. Whether you're hunting here or down in Florida or Alabama, get outdoors as much as you can, soak it up. You know, this is our one big chance on planet Earth. I like to go for the gusto, and I think you probably do as well. Wishing you all the best in your outdoor adventures. This is Ron Spomer. Thanks for listening. Hunt honest and shoot straight.